All right. I tried to record this video once already and I lost it. So here we go again. It probably won't be nearly as fun the second time. It is a chilly day in Utah. It was 9 degrees when I woke up this morning. It's now 17, but it's a nice sunny day. Love hanging out in my new addition to the house sunroom and soaking up the sun. It's my last day of break. I have to go back to work tomorrow, but it'll be a short week. Thank goodness. Thursday, Friday kind of eases you into work, and then a weekend, and then you can go back. I was going to answer a couple of questions. Catherine is going to come and do a video with me after work today, so I thought but this was going to be a really long video because of the whip parade and the 2018 report, so I thought I'd get part of it done before she gets here so she doesn't have to stay forever. So she'll stay tuned. We're doing another video tonight. I have some comments and questions. Kindred Stitcher, when I was talking about my Quaker Diamonds piece and how hard it was to start all those different color changes with onesie twosies everywhere out in the middle of nowhere, recommended the pin stitch, which I know how to do. I've looked at it several times and I do it and then I forget it, and then so I need to use that more. Thank you. Kelly Sluter wanted to know what this pattern was. It's RFD Sledding by Foxwood Crossings. Vintage Pinker said hello from another public school employee. Hello, love hearing from you. So sad that we have to go back to school now, but love the library. Grew up in the library. My favorite place to be. When I have to run errands in the school and end up in the library, it's so hard to leave and go back to my office. I just want to get out a book, sit in the sun on the couch and read. Brenda Holzman and Teresa Boyer want to know if I ever found Andrew's stocking. I kept thinking it would show up as I was getting out all the Christmas stuff, and I thought maybe I put it where I would find it at Christmas time. It never did show up. On Christmas Eve, I finally realized, because Andrew was staying at his in-laws and wanted to take it home so they could have it for Christmas morning. I did a room by room search because I don't lose things. I'm an organizer. I don't lose things. It really bugs me when I lose things. I walked into every room and thought, if it was folded in half and it was this big, where could it possibly be? Fit. Where could it be? Searched the whole house. Still haven't found it. So I guess we're going to have to stitch him a new one. But that's okay. So I'm going to do 3 stockings this year, I hope. One for my other daughter-in-law, Hannah, and one for Andrew, and then one for his wife, Lauren. And then if we do find it later, Andrew said, as soon as you stitch one, Mom, we'll find it. I'm like, okay. We'll just pull the name out on one of them and stitch in one of your children's name. It will be fine. Diana Zaslow asked about the Shepherd's Bush necklaces. They are designed by Shepherd's Bush. One is called Snow Necklace Frame and one is called Bee Necklace Frame. I did buy them several years ago, so I don't know if they still have them. But they don't list everything in their store on their website, so call them. Call their phone number listed on their website and ask them if they still have them, because they are fun. I love them. Emily Bittner asked about the Hawk Run Hollow project bag. Where I got it or where she could find it. It does say Prestige on it. It's 12 by 16. It zips clothes on top, has an outside zipper pocket. Love it. Use this if I'm going to the beach at Bear Lake because I know it's mostly waterproof on the bottom. I did a quick Google search and it looks like Dick Blick, B-L-I-C-K. I'll put a link below in the notes. They are an art supply, huge website, huge store, art supplies. They carry those, it looks like. And they're only like $9.74. So don't go buy them all before I can go buy some more, because I need to buy some more. So that's where you can find those if you like that bag. Debbie Dowd wanted to know if I washed the sweatshirt first before I started the cross stitch on the front of it, and I did not. I should have. I know better. When it's done, I'll probably wash it in cold. I cross-stitched on the front of one of my daughter's onesies, Marie, when she was a baby. She was the cutest baby, little curly hair baby. And that thing got washed. You know how baby clothes are, spit up, all kinds of stuff gets on them. You're washing them constantly. And that DMC stayed exactly the same through all of that. So I know DMC washes well. I'll probably still wash the sweater in cold and have it lay flat to dry after it's done and I've worn it. But I should have washed it first and I didn't. Jill F. was suggested that I use a ballpoint needle working on that sweater so it doesn't split the yarn threads, and that is a great idea. I should do that. Betty Ulan said she made those nativity pillows that I showed in my wish to stitch on my last video, and they were all done, finished, and she lost them in a house fire. Oh, Betty, that just hurts me right here. That's so sad. I'm so sorry. She said she never could just bring herself to stitch them again. Kristen Ann suggested that maybe the fabric for my Shores of Hawk Run Hollow might be Heritage, and Picture This plus Heritage. And I ran across, over the break, I was looking for something else and ran across a smaller piece of Heritage in a different count. So pulled it out and compared it, and it is Heritage. Thank you, Kristen. And is no longer mystery fabric. It is Picture This plus Heritage. Thank you. Trisha K watched my stocking video about the stockings and decided that I had enabled her. She needed to make stockings for her children. So she went and bought some cooler design stockings for each one of them. She said their oldest is 14 and they may get them as wedding presents. That made me laugh. Do it anyway. They'll love them. Darlene Urso, I wanted to know if Quaker Diamonds has half stitches in it. It does not. It is full cross, the whole thing, but it is a lot of onesie, twosies, and color changes. Charlotte Lacey wanted to know how I put the Polyvon on the frame. In fact, I'll probably do 2 videos. I'll probably do a 2018 report, and then I'll do a whip parade in the second video, so it's not so long. These are stretcher bars that you can buy at a craft store like Michael's, someplace that sells art supplies as well as craft supplies. They fit together like this on the ends. You can kind of get them started, and then you kind of have to use a hammer to get them. So you buy whatever two lengths you want to make the square you want. Make sure you have plenty of extra fabric on your piece, because these are just thumbtacks and they will make holes in the fabric and could rust depending on what kind of thumbtacks you're using. I mark the middles of my fabric on both sides, and then I lay it on there and try and get it in place. I put these 2 middle thumbtacks in first, and then I do these 2, trying to get it as tight as possible. With those 4 in, it should be really tight right here in the middle. And then I just kind of work out from there. These 2, and then these 2, and then these 2, and then these 2, and I kind of work towards the corners until it's nice and tight. If you do carry it around for several years, it does loosen up. So I have taken the thumbtacks out before on 2 sides and tightened it up. Just make sure you leave yourself lots of selvage, because those thumbtacks will make holes. Kindred Stitcher said she has stitched 7 of those stockings from that series, but has never finished them. So Kindred Stitcher, I'm giving you a little push. Fine. My mother had to help me on the first one and the second one, I think, show me how to do it. But after that, I think I was able to do it by myself. So find someone that can help you do them and do one. Goodness. I just love that you've stitched 7 of them, though. How gorgeous. Journey of a Stitcher recommended that I look at Joan Elliott dollhouse pattern. I'm so going to go do that because I love dollhouses. And Kelly Sluter suggested on my house and garden sampler. I had had it finished for a couple of years before I took it to get it framed, and forgot that I had never put my name on the middle house. The name and maybe when we got married or the date we built it. So I need to, someone else suggested that I have the framer take it apart and could go in and stitch it, but that framer is fabulous, and she pins it and then laces the back. So we'd actually have to undo the lacing. I don't want to do that. She suggested that we have the framer take it apart and get a little, you know how you can go to a trophy shop and get a little metal plate engraved to put on the front of a trophy? I could get a metal plate engraved, she suggested, with my name and the year of the house or something, whatever I want on it. Get the little 2 holes on the edges where they usually put the little tacks in. And then I could have the framer take it apart and attach that pretty easily. Great idea. Thank you. That is totally what I'm going to do. I have some other questions that involve Catherine, so I'll wait until Catherine's here to do those questions. All right. Doing this video all over again is driving me nuts. Several of you have done Ort ornaments that I saw on, I've seen those before. I love that idea. My brother Walter and his wife Juliana gave me this clear plastic container. I'm sure it came from Costco with pretzels in it or cookies or something. Several years ago, and they have one too, and we were laughing about how long it would take us to fill it up. I know what's in the bottom. This is wool from the needlepoint seat cover that I did for the rocking chair that my dad made me. I'll show that to you sometime. So I need to go back and see when I did that and date this jar. I need to put the date on it so I know when I started it. So I keep this in my sewing room, and I just keep adding to it every year. I have kept this by my chair when my stitching nest was downstairs in the family room for a long time. Andrew made it for me in elementary school in 2005, my youngest. Had a little poem in it about how it was empty because it was full of love. Gave it to me for Christmas one year. I'm sure they painted it in class. So that is one of my Ort containers, and then when it gets too full, I just dump it in the other one. This is the Ort jar that I've been having next to my new stitching nest up in my new room. I got it at Walt Disney World on our 30th anniversary trip there. My husband and I went. In the Asian store that's on the lake by the Epcot Center where all the different around the world stores are. I love it. I love it. And when it's full, I put it in the jar. They're cute little faces. They're just, oh, I love them. And then if I am going to a class where I am not at home, at the Rocky Mountain Region EGA conference that our chapter hosted several years ago, they were selling these in the store. It's just folded glued paper. It comes out, it has the little grommets with the clear plastic piece around it and the string that, oh, they were made by LB Crafty, www.lbcrafty.com. Look at that. It is just folded paper like origami that folds out into a box. And you can kind of do this when and then sit it next to you wherever you're at when you're not at home. And I put my orts in there. And if there's only half full of orts, you can still close it up. It still closes. And you can take your orts home with you. Stick it back in the envelope. That goes in my traveling bag of stitching tools. So that's my Ort report for 2018. I noticed watching videos over the break, I've loved all the videos. Love Flosstube while I'm stitching. I've done a lot of stitching over this break. That a lot of you love planners as well. I also love planners. I've loved planners for many years. I've done several different kinds of planners and scrapbooking. I've done scrapbooks for all my kids, all that thing. Right now I am a bullet journal. I started that a little over a year ago. I told you I keep this little paperback journal right next to my chair because when you're watching Flosstube, you hear about some designer or you see a piece you have to have or you hear about another Flosstuber that you want to go watch. These are my notes that I keep right next to my chair. I told you about this book in my last video. This is my project journal where every time I start one, I write down that I started it, who the designer was, what the fabric was, what threads I used when I finished it. I was not very good about doing this the last couple of years, so you guys inspired me on New Year's Eve to go back and pull data from a couple of sites that I post when I finish online all the time. I'm pretty good about posting to those, so I had to go back and look through and collect data. Thank you so much because I love data. I just needed a motivation to get it done for the last 2 years because I have not done a good job the last 2 years. So this is my project book where I keep track of all the projects I start and if I changed the color or what, and I keep this in the basket like I told you next to my stitching chair like Farm Girl does. That was such a great idea, thank you. Because if it's right there, then I'm more likely to open it up and go, oh yeah, I just switched this color out to something else. This is my Bujo journal for 2018. I had a crazy year, so things went south about August, so I didn't keep up with it past August, but you inspired me to get one ready for this year, and I'd like to get back into that. And like I said, you inspired me to go back and collect data for the year of 2018, so my last page in here is my stitching stats for 2018. Thank you so much for giving me the motivation to get that done. Sammy J Stitches, loved her. She helped motivate me. Blitz Stitch is great at keeping stats, and Stitch and Mommy, those two both use Excel programs. Wow. And Tranquil Stitches. Oh, Cheryl at Tranquil Stitches also motivated me to get back into my planning and data keeping and journaling. So I'm going back and doing some forensic data collecting. I found out that I started 2018 with 18 whips and I ended 2018 with 19 whips. That is a net loss of 1, Catherine, my daughter Catherine. Not good. I suppose it could have been worse. Although, I also found out that I finished 18 projects in 2018. I have never finished more than 3 or 4 maybe in a year. 18 is insane. Part of that is because of Stitching Mania and a lot of them were small, but still 18. So I had 18 finishes in 2018. Hey, that's pretty cool. 18 and 18. Did I? Yep, that is everything. And then I started, which I don't think this is right, because 5 of my manias were whips, so that would be 13. I think I started 19 projects in 2018. So those were some awesome stats. Thank you, Flosstube, and all of you for motivating me to get that done. This is my Bujo journal for 2019. And I made a stitching page. I have other pages started with the future calendar like I always do, and some other stuff that I track all year long, but oh, sorry. I have such a runny nose today. I have a stitching page for 2019 where I'm going to keep track of starts and finishes and my beginning whip count, end whip count, and my full coverage pages. I'd like to keep track of that for this year. Sammy J, thank you for making me think of that. And then I also went back and did some forensic while I was on New Year's Eve, being all into my record keeping. I made a list of every whip I started the year with in chronological order. I was able to go back and find out when I started all of them. So they are oldest whip to newest whip, all 19 of them. This is a legend for my migraine garden, which I will tell you about later, maybe in the next video when I'm doing plans for 2019. This is my Mania 2-page spread. This will be some kind of geometric design listing all my Mania starts for 2019 that I can fill in when I finish. And then this is just my notes for Mania where I'm trying to decide what 19 pieces. I'll do 5 whips again because I loved doing 5 whips. It was such a motivation to get them done. And then the rest will be new starts. I do try to keep them smaller so that they're finishable, some of them at least. Just a little bit about my Bujo. I always have a monthly page. These are my monthly plans. This is my monthly stitching plan. This is Flosstube notes. I need to keep track of so a couple things that I mentioned in my Flosstubes and what date I did them, because I need to go back and reference that sometimes. And then this is just my goals and notes for the month that are not stitching related. This is my, oh my gosh, weekly page that I do once a week, usually on Sunday afternoons. On weeks where it's crazy and I don't get to it, I'll just skip this page. But this is one of my favorite pages because I love coloring it, and I am not a great artist. I go on Google and search line drawing, like line drawing snowman, and I see a cute little picture and I just copy that. Looking at the screen, I just draw it. So these are not my original artworks by any means, but I do enjoy doing them. I track what we're having for dinner, what I wore, just so I don't end up wearing the same thing to work every day, because I will wear jeans and a t-shirt every day if I can. When I am not at work, I am in jeans and a t-shirt and my favorite comfy sweater. And then these are my daily pages where I do a little more things that need to get done today. I use that as my journal because I write down everything that happened that day just in little bullets, not big long sentences. Although I am a writer, that just takes too long. And then I also track my headache for the day, and which I'll tell you about later when I do migraine gardens, and how much I stitched that day. Oh, Saltbox Stitcher showed the Needlework Press Book of Days, which is just an oversized paperback. Shows a 2-page spread as a whole month where she tracks what she stitched on every day. So I ordered one of those from 123 Stitch, and I'm totally doing that. I would love to track what I stitched on every day, and I don't stitch in a way that I can count stitches. It would just take way too long to figure out how many stitches I actually stitched that day, so I'll probably do an estimate of how much time I spent stitching that day and what projects I worked on. Loved that idea. Saltbox Stitcher, thank you. So those are my daily pages. All right, enough about planners and journaling and data. Let's move on to 2018 finishes. I'll do 2018 finishes in this video, and then I'll end it and do my whip parade in the next video, and then one with Catherine if she's not here yet. If this video works and we're not doing this all the whole rest of the day. Spent my last day of break making a video, basically. It's crazy. All right, 2018 finishes. My first finish was Medieval Town Mandala by Chatelaine. And I've showed you that already in an earlier video. I finished this in April. And I have it sideways. This is my third chatelaine that I have finished, Mandala. I did Evening in the Park as well as Alpine Seasons. Alpine Seasons is framed, Evening in the Park, and this one are not. This was the Q. I have these really large Q snaps that I use to do the beading at the end because I can't put a clip over beading, obviously. Either have to do it on something like this or scroll rods or in hand, and I hate in hand. It makes I'm not used to it, so my hand and my arm ache so bad. I do have 2 more kitted in my stash of chatelaines, and another one that I have the pattern but is not kitted, and because I hate, parts of it are different, like all these villages are different from each other, parts of it are the same, like this middle building. But my great idea is to do the ones that I still have in my stash, like for this one, you could have put these 4 villages in a long line this way and then used some of these elements below the village or above it. I'm going to look at the ones I have in my stash and see if I could do something like that so that I did not have to stitch the same thing 4 times, because her designs are just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay, in May was when I started Mania. A funny story, May and August are the craziest for me at work, so stressful. And I had a stressful year anyway. Lots of crazy things. Son got married, added onto the house, found out I was going to be I thought I was going to be on staff for a Wood Badge course, which is a week-long training course for adult leaders of Boy Scouts. Found out in January that I was going to be the course director for the course. So that was like another part-time job on top of my full-time job. What else? Had surgery in June, sinus surgery. It was just the craziest year. Anyway, in May, I was going to run away from home and never come back. Or I thought I was on Flosstube, heard about people talking about Stitch Mania, and thought, I think on May 2nd, I decided I was going to do Stitch Mania. So I spent the evening of May 2nd pulling stuff together that I already had in my stash and ordered a couple of things that I knew were going to come in a couple days from 123 Stitch. And I had already worked on Shores of Hawk Run Hollow on May 1st, so I called that. I thought, well, I should just do 5 whips as part of my Mania. So anyway, can't remember why I started that. But oh yes, because now we're into Mania. Okay, so in May, one of my Mania starts was this little red border thread by Foxwood Crossings. And now because I've already done this video once, my finished pile is upside down. Hang on. Foxwood Crossings, red border sled. Started that for Mania, finished it at the end of May. One of my first Mania finishes, stuck it on this cute little sled. That was easy. And then in June, I finished recovering from my sinus surgery. I finished this tall tree sampler wee one by Heart and Hand. I did it for with the called for threads if I had them, or I pulled from stash if I didn't have them. They're overdyeds on perforated paper. It's like a confetti off-white perforated paper. I'll use it as a bookmark. Love that. In May, it's recovering from my surgery. I also finished this Standee in Holy Places. I'll also use this as it's kind of an oversized bookmark, but it's also on perforated paper. It's a local designer, Yvette S. Ungricht. I bought this at Shepherd's Bush, and I used, Shepherd's Bush had their own conversion. They had their own fabric framed on the wall, and it was just beautiful. So I used their conversion that they had. The good thing about having to do this video twice is you're getting a much faster version, because you don't talk as much, because you're just trying to get through it. Oh, those 2 I finished in June. In October, I finished Last Stitch Cemetery, which I have already showed you once. I think this is on Jobelin. It's a mystery fabric, but it feels like Jobelin to me. It's a beautiful piece for this piece. It's a Hinzite. They always do the little silver charms, as you know. That's their trademark. Love this piece. It is so funny. My brother Walter and his wife Juliana were the first ones that showed it to me, and they may have given me the pattern. I can't remember on the fabric. Maybe that's why I don't know what it is. But I love it. Started and forgotten, half stitched, too old, and lost interest. Makes me laugh every time. Totally having that framed and putting it in my sewing room. Also in October, I finished Little House Needleworks Hometown Holiday Sweet Shop. I did it on perforated paper. I want to glue them to something else and make them into ornaments. I couldn't do, because I did it on brown paper, the house is supposed to be brown, so I changed the house to yellow because it was on brown paper. Also did, these were both Mania starts as well. The Tree Lot, same series. Hometown Holiday series, Little House Needleworks. I did this on white, light blue sky perforated paper, but you can't really see the blue sky, and then you can't see the snow at all. It doesn't show up on that light blue. So I won't, I'll do some more of these on perforated paper, but I won't ever do it on this color again. I'll do them all on brown or some other color that will show the snow. Was this also, oh, also in October I finished that sled that I already showed you, RFD Sledding by Foxwood Crossings. In November, I finished Sunflower Sampler by Heart and Hand. It came with its own piece of fabric and a little button, and I used the call for threads if I had them. It was overdyed cottons. If I didn't have them, I just pulled stuff out of my stash. In November, I also finished the GHI leaflet. This is from the GHI leaflet Price Schooler, which I have lost because last time I showed it to you, it got stuck in with everything else I was putting away. It's somewhere in my cross-stitch stuff, stuck to something else, I'm sure. I did the G is for Garden. You can go back and watch my other video about all the floss color changes I had to make. But I still love it. It's 1/1 on 40 count buttercream, 1/2 on 40 count buttercream fabric. In December, I had several finishes. I finished the Paula Vaughn September quilt, which I've already showed you in my December last video. From this booklet that someone gave Catherine. She was going to do them all, make them into a quilt, but she's decided she doesn't want to do that anymore. So I will give this book back to her because this is hers. Quaker Diamonds by Rosewood Manor. I also finished that in December and just showed you in the last video. This is on Picture This Plus 40 Count Legacy. I did use the Call for Valdani threads, but I did not use the ones that come in a spool like this. I bought the kind, same colors, exact same colors, but I bought the kind that is 6-stranded cotton floss in pre-cut hanks. Still love this piece. Still just love it, and I have it upside down. Sorry. Definitely need to get that framed and hang it up. I started it with 1 strand, and it just, I wasn't happy with the coverage, so I did 2 strands on 40 count, which is very thick, but works because it's not a full coverage piece. I also finished the manger ornament in December, which I just showed you in the last video, Alessandra Adelaide. Also finished Secret Snowman, which I showed you in the last video, by the Trilogy. Called for, came with the fabric, and I did the called for threads if I had them. Otherwise, I just pulled from my stash. The second to last day before school let out for the break, I decided I wanted to make this sled for my coworker Michelle. I just love her. It's Foxwood Crossings, Snow Grateful, and I did this little one where he has his arms up in the air and he's looking up at the snow. Finished that and gave it to her, so I don't have it anymore. And then on Christmas Eve, Crazy me, I decided I wanted to make ornaments for my parents. Why didn't I think of that before Christmas Eve? I don't know. So I took this truck off of the tree lot and took one of the trees and one of the cardinals off the tree lot and just made this little one on brown perforated paper. I'll glue it to like red felt with a little ribbon hanger. And then I saw this one, Santa in Crimson, in one of the magazines. My mom has a Christmas tree, a little tabletop Christmas tree that is all Santa ornaments that she has collected. And I showed you the one I made her in my last video in 2005, so I decided to make her another one. This is on vinyl Ada made by DMC. It is really nice stuff. It's very flexible, but stiff enough that you can stitch on it in hand. And you can't, I don't think it'll focus on it well enough, but it is actually, it looks like one strand, but it is actually two little strands of vinyl going this way and two little strands of vinyl going this way. So it's kind of like Ada or linen. It won't focus on that. So I was able to do half stitches on this because I could force where they come together, it's kind of melted together right there, but I could push my needle down through it, the middle of those. So I was actually able to do half stitches on this. Made me very happy. I will cut around the edge, leaving like one stitch around the edge and glue it to red felt like I did the other one with a little hanger. And it was in this magazine from 2002. And the designer's name is Carol Emmer Designs, E-M-M-E-R, Santa in Crimson. All right. Is that everything? I think that is everything. That is all the 2018 finishes. Fabulous. So we will end this video and I will start a new one for the whip parade.